Hello and welcome to Talking TSM, the Game House's talk show about TSM's LCS team. I'm Robert Haynes, your host and your guide into the world of TSM's LCS team. Now, this is my second time trying to record this. I had made a couple mistakes to start it out. Oops. So, now I'm back. We're doing this again. This week is going to be, these next 2 weeks are going to be interesting. I will be out of town for my buddy's bachelor party Wednesday through Sunday. So you guys know my recording schedule. I love to have content out, well, nowadays, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. To let you guys know, I still plan on getting shows out all week. I'm going to be doing a lot of recording over the next couple of days, but we'll still have the Monday show, and I will still have the Thursday preview show, hopefully all set up by the time I leave on Wednesday. Now, the other bit of news is that I did get an interview earlier this past week with 2 players and a coach. I'm very excited for you guys to get to see it. It's about a 30-minute interview. Sometimes I like to put it in Talking TSM, but other times I like to separate it at least a little bit. This one I felt, due to the subject nature, felt like it was better to have it as something separate. So you guys will be getting 3 bits of video content from the Game House, from me specifically, on our YouTube channel this week. So, very excited about that. You guys, I'm not going to announce who it is yet, although if you've checked my Twitter, you probably know who it is. But, if you're just watching the show or listening, then you won't know. It's probably going to come out on Tuesday after Hot Takes, probably later in the afternoon. We will see, though. That is most likely when it will be coming out, though. So, be on the on the lookout. Be looking around. Oh, this is a bad look for me. That's okay. Anyways, so also, because I am going to be out of town and everything, the shows next week may be coming out a little later than usual. They should still all be on the same days. They just may not be between noon and 3 p.m. Eastern Standard. That's when I try to get everything out. Just depending on how busy the work week is. But being out of town, I'm going to have a lot of catching up to do, including all of the shows, essentially. There may be one that I'm able to record in my, on my way to somewhere, to the airport. That's the word. Or at the airport, potentially. If I can find a place that's quiet enough to do it with my laptop. So, yeah, with that as well, everything this week is going to be fine, like I said, but this show specifically is going to be done in 2 parts, 2 very distinct parts. Now, I am recording on Sunday, so I haven't seen our 3rd game yet, so I'm going to be going over the first 2 games first, and then likely the lighting and the attire will change for the second part, for those of you who are watching on video. For those of you who are just listening, guess what? It's going to basically be the same thing. Yay. That's good. So, with that, let's hop in. We've already played 100 Thieves in CLG, and I got a lot of thoughts and things that we got to go over now. Very much now. Starting with the 100 Thieves game. 100 Thieves taking away Kalista, Taliyah, and Twitch, I thought was interesting and probably good for us. I don't really like Spica on Taliyah anyways, and while I like Tactical on Kalista, I'm fine with her getting banned. I think she's getting banned pretty regularly now, and then we saw what Twitch was doing in the LEC. Wouldn't have surprised me to see TSM try to pull that out, so I think smart bans by 100 Thieves. We responded with Viego, Senna, and Zeri. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I think Senna needs to be banned in every single game. I've just seen her. She's just way too strong. I'm fine with her getting banned. I don't think Viego necessarily needs to be banned, but he is pretty strong right now, so meh. Um, that's fine with me, honestly. I don't have much of a problem with it. But then, our team comp ends up being Rumble for Hooney, J4 for Spica, Maples Azir, which I believe I predicted. I think that's something that I wanted to see if I remember correctly. Tacticals Ezreal and Mia's Karma. Into the team of Gnar in the top lane, Wukong, Ari, Lucian, and Nami. Now, I think Lucian Nami is pretty strong right now, to be honest with you. I think it's really strong, but I don't think that it's overly oppressive outside of lane, to be honest with you. And I think we saw that in this game. TSM were playing really, really well to start this game. And Spica and Maple combining for the first kill. Spica getting a double kill. It's only 2 kills of the entire day, sadly. But it put him in a really good spot, and it gave Maple his only 2 assists for the day as well. This game, again, I mean, it started really well. TSM got the first 2 Drakes of the game. They were creating incremental advantages, CS-wise throughout. I felt like their comp was going to scale extremely well, and it felt like 100 Thieves could never really find their path in. Abadage was very far behind. He almost got flame horizoned at one point by Maple. And it felt like TSM were moving around the map well. I think Mia was doing a particularly good job of being in the right places at the right times. Not as much as in this game, as we will talk about in the second game. But I liked what we saw at the beginning of this game, and actually realistically through most of this game. One of the big problems was Spica wasn't able to be influential on the map as much last split. It felt like we couldn't play a regular game of League of Legends, especially through the first 9. That just felt like almost an impossibility, to be honest with you. It was just tough. It was just really tough. But with Maple, even in this game, you could tell that Spica felt more comfortable to try to make plays. He felt really confident throughout, and his vision was really just really good. It felt like he was making good calls and that he was doing what needed to be done to, I think, make plays. I think, again, Mia was in the right place at the right time. I honestly felt Hooney played really well throughout most of this game. But the person who I'm really concerned about was Tactical. Now, listen, I understand that it is not always on just one player, whatever. Like, it's fine. I get it. Like, I think Maple could have been a lot more proactive. I don't think his ults were all that useful. I don't think he poked as well as he should have. I think Spica could have made a couple of different calls to help get the team, into a better position. I felt Hooney picking... I still think the Rumble pick was kind of a little bit of troll, to be honest with you. I don't think Rumble's that great into the meta right now. I think he's solid, but then, they were commenting on it on the broadcast with the Rift Maker. I don't really personally mind Rift Maker as much. I just more... I don't know. I almost kind of wish he would have gone Leandri's, to be honest with you. Like, I know that's maybe not as much of a standard build, but if he's not going to go Rocket Belt, or if he's not going to go like Everfrost or something like that, which, I know aren't... Rocket Belt's very much more standard. I know that Everfrost really isn't as much, but like, if he's going to go a little bit of an off build, I wish it would have been something that was less reliant on healing when he didn't really need to be reliant on healing, if that makes sense. And, I don't love Karma. I think Karma's great in certain areas, but like Yumi was available, why not just put Yumi on tactical and allow her to be, you know, I just she's just so strong on this patch. I don't really get the point of really not playing her over the Karma. I guess maybe the Karma's a little bit better into the Lucian Nami, but Tactical's going to sit back, throwing Ezreal Qs anyways. He's on the most escapable champion in the game, who has literally double flashes when almost every 4 or 5 minutes, right? So it doesn't really matter that much. I just think not that there was a draft gap in any way, but I'm just saying, like, even with this team, like, they were let me see here. At one point they were almost 4,000 gold ahead at 27 minutes. And then, and at this point they had just given up a dragon, and then they gave up the Baron because, well, to be frank, Tactical got caught. Now, that only brought the game to even. There was a world where TSM could still have played their way out. Their scaling comp was incredible. I mean, Ezreal is always going to outscale Ahri Lucian, no matter what. And even the Wukong from Closer, who consistently was making plays. I'll take Jarvan just inting in and putting champions in that bind. Now, to be fair, every champion could get out of it except for the Nami, but if you take her out, Lucian's a lot less, I think, destructive in team fighting and everything like that. He can't play as loose. And I also believe that, if Huni had gone something, even like, he's just going straight damage. I think even if he puts a Rylai's in there, I think he's really able to be a lot more effective and help the team. But again, it comes down to Tactical getting caught not once, but twice in this game. And his positioning, I felt like, was just atrocious. I don't get it. I don't understand when you are on a champion that is able to escape so easily, when you are on a champion that you have plenty of time to make very easy, rational decisions, and your whole goal is to just not be anywhere near an Ahri charm, right? Like, he shouldn't have any chance to be anywhere near an Ahri charm ever in this composition. Now, and again, like, I really wish that TSM would have picked Huni like Ornn or something here, to be honest with you. I think it would have just been much better to help them buy space, all this other stuff. But aside from that, because I think, they wanted to have that mixture of early and in late game, which they did, it just feels like Tactical just doesn't know where to be at times. And I get it. Like, it's not all his fault. Like, that's why I said all those other things beforehand. But he is crucially the member who needs to be alive to be just pouring out damage in those fights. And even with his build, now, I don't know what the best build is right now, but it feels like Divine Sunderer might have been maybe a little bit better. To be honest with you, I don't know. Like, he looks like he should be doing a ton of damage with Essence Reaver, Serelda's, and Manamune. Like, both of those are all three of those are really great items, like, to where you don't really need a mythic yet on Ezreal. And to be fair, if he had gotten his mythic, which I think it was going to be Eclipse, it looked like, if he had gotten that, then, like, and he positions well. I just don't think that there's a world where Hunter Thieves are able to come back and win this game at all. And, he was farming well, but, he still gets up, even though he has, no help, right? Like, he still is able to farm up, which is great. Like, they were giving him plenty of waves and everything, and Mia wasn't there for part of it, so I get it, but it's just, I don't know, man. It just was really, really disappointing to see this game fall by the wayside, because, like, as soon, like, Abadage went from being irrelevant to being extremely powerful by hitting, a couple E's. and that was it. And they were on, the most crucial champion of the team, because Ezreal's just, Azir is important for sure, but Azir at least can, Shurima shuffle out and like push him away, and like, I don't know, it just felt like not only was tactical out of position multiple times, but it felt like he was really just not impactful at all. And you can even see that in this damage graph. Like, comparatively to, the Lucian, who was piloted very well, I think, by FBI, it's an 8,000 gold difference, or damage difference, by FBI to tactical. Like, tactical did about as much damage as both junglers in this game, where both of them are CC bots, essentially. Jarvan obviously brings a little bit of damage, but it's not a lot. Like, the AD damage has to really come from Ezreal. And I'm just really struggling with him right now, because everybody's like, well, don't just blame him. You're right, but when is he going to learn, as a veteran player-ish now, right, that he has to be a little more careful with his positioning? He's incredible in team fights that he gets space, right? He is incredible in lanes where he actually has a support that he's comfortable with. But he is constantly, even when he was on TL, right? I mean, there's a reason why he got, the Malphite memes, is because he was constantly putting himself into bad positions. Now, I'm not going to say that I would necessarily trade his aggressiveness, but he's got to understand when in the game that this is important, right? I think the difference between him and Danny right now is, yes, Danny is very aggressive. Danny will occasionally put himself into bad positions. There's no doubt. But I think when the game state needs less of a go button and needs you to be a little bit more safe, when you don't have to necessarily try to push the advantage, especially when you're playing, again, Ezreal, who is one of the longest range champions in the game near the end of the game, just based on the fact that this queues up every second, basically. It makes it really inexcusable for me, and especially when you have an E-escape and a flash escape, which he had to use twice in the game, and again, he repositioned himself in one of the fights really well. But it just, even, he just felt like he was out of position constantly, and even when he's not in the right position, he just felt like he had no impact in this game. Now, the rest of the team outside of Spica was pretty disappointing. I mean, Spica really was carrying them, I think, pretty hard throughout most of this game. And, that's great. I think that was awesome to see from him. But I don't know, man. I just, this game really slipped through their fingers. They had the late game. If they had just played a little more patiently, and if Tactical had just positioned a little bit better, I think they're able to survive the Baron. And I think that they are able to put themselves in a position where there's just nothing that 100 Thieves can do. You just outscale them to the point. If we had literally waited, if the game had gone on an extra 3 to 4 minutes without the big blunder that ends up happening again around 34 minutes, then by then Maple has what looks to be a Rabadon's, and Tactical looks to be an Eclipse or something. I don't know exactly what item he was building. I'm pretty sure it would have ended up being Eclipse. And once you have those two items, there's just they just deal so much damage, it just doesn't matter. Sure, someday can get in and try to ult them, but what's that going to matter in the end? When Ezreal can E out and Maple can either Shurima shuffle out or he can just ult them back. I could go on and on about this one. It was fine. I did not mind this game as much as I did this second game. The CLG game. Now, I am going to give credit where credit is due. CLG are a lot better, more cohesive, and they are, I think, playing and drafting intelligently right now. Okay? I think they have a really good read on the meta, and I think that's important in week one. So, kudos to them for that. But this was another game that felt like TSM could have and probably should have won. Now, I don't know. This game just hurts. Like, the whole range thing, whatever, like they were clearly going for a poke comp. I get it. That's fine. But there was another Rift Herald fight where things are going really well. Spica is ahead on the Viego and arguably the most important champion in the game for us. And, well, I guess roll it back here, right? So, Dokla gets the last pick of Jace, which is pretty fine into Gwen. I actually really liked the Gwen pick from TSM. If Nidalee's going to be chucking spears and Poom's going to be throwing out ults and all this stuff, like her W can just really, really cause havoc, or is it her E? Whatever, the mist, right? Can really cause havoc into stuff like that, even into, long range from Dokla. Like, I like the Gwen pick. I think, the Jinx pick with Tom Kench was fine. I don't know. I don't love Tom Kench right now, but I think the idea behind it was fine, and the way Mia piloted it was pretty nice. I liked what Mia did there throughout most of this game. But the pick I was most excited about was the Galio. I had said that I would love to see a Galio picked. It was used well at MSI, and I felt like it's a good pick into this meta, and you see it, picked into the Twist of Fate, and I know the desk was like, well, it's not that great in the Twist of Fate. And I'm like, they aren't worried about Twisted Fate. What they are worried about is, the Nidalee damage and the Seraphine damage, and the little bit of damage from Twisted Fate, because, well, frankly, a lot of their damage was AP outside of the Senna, right? And we really should have banned Senna. I mean, I think it just comes down to that, honestly, partially at least. But, they have no tank. They have no front line on this team. It's just about, like Jad, I think, was saying, splitting them up and not giving them a chance to work together. And, yeah, the heals were really big, but I don't know, man. This one also just felt weird. It felt like, again, we fast forward, right? We're doing well. Spica's getting ahead again, and we get to the Rift Herald, and God, man, this is crazy. We get it, which is great, and we're like really low health, and Spica decides to just jump in all of a sudden, like. I get the theory behind it, but you didn't have to do that. There was no reason, in my opinion, to do that. And that flipped the game on its head because, TSM were playing really well. They were Jinx was scaling. And regardless of how good, Senna and Seraphine can be, if tactical positions well in later game team fights, Jinx is just going to blow them up before they get a chance to do anything realistically. What ends up happening, in an ideal team fight for TSM, right, is Spica goes in, Galio ults over top of him, or even Huni goes in and Galio ults over top of them, or the better, thing is, Spica goes in, Galio ults over top, you have Huni behind them, and you have Tom Kench just playing bodyguard for Jinx. And then you just win. It doesn't matter, right? Like, it genuinely does not matter because if you can get somebody behind them and you can allow for Spica to dive in relatively, uninhibited, then they have no way to get past the Galio and the the Gwen and the Viego to get to the Jinx. So even if like those three are just up there to be CC bots and just soak up damage, by the time they're done dealing all of their damage, if Tactical's positioned well, and you know and Mia on Tom Kench is able to keep him from being just run at by, you know, Twisted Fate or Jace, they're just gonna outright win the fight because all these champions are squishy, regardless of how many shields are gonna come through. So I don't know. It just never happened. And yet again, like I felt like Maple played pretty well with the Galio. He is playing around Spica, which is what we wanted. Right? Mia, in this game specifically, was in the right place, positioned well, almost the entire game. I think Huni played the Gwen really well, for the most part. I mean, there's only so much you can do as Gwen, but I felt like he played her pretty well and built her pretty well. But yet again, it was Tactical on the Jinx. Like, where was he? I mean, at the time, he had the most CS in the game, and he was just never in position to do anything. There are other things that lead up to the game being a problem, by the way. I don't want it to be solely focused on Tactical, but if they're going to protect the Tactical and allow him to scale up and be a nuisance, right, in the late game, then he has to come through when he doesn't have double supports to make it happen. It just felt like in this game that he was invisible. Again. In back-to-back games. And could it have changed things? Maybe. If he had positioned a little bit better, could he have done more? Maybe. I mean, he ended up having to go Gale Force instead of Kraken Slayer just due to the fact that he just doesn't position well. Like, if he positions better, there's no way any of them should get to him. They have no dive champions outside of, you know, a running at you Jace, which you can see from a mile away if you're positioned well, or if Twisted Fate ults, then everybody just surrounds the Jinx and come on in. You know, throw a gold card. Do your worst. You know, we've got a Galio and a Tom Kench that can just soak that up. And in the meantime, you know, Spica can just jump into your backline and, you know, essentially probably assassinate either Luger, you know, Contracts, or Poom at any point. And it's just they never got into the position to be able to do that. And, you know, I like the focus from TSM on certain areas, but it feels like our meta read is a little off. And it really just is hard to see what is going on with Tactical. And you can blame it all you want on, oh, they're shifting supports and everything. He's not doing poorly in lane necessarily. Like, they're leaving him on his own, and honestly, he's handling most of that part of it really, really well. But when it comes to the team fighting, which is supposed to be his forte, he's just either not there or not in a position to do what he needs to do, or he's getting caught. You know, you need your AD carry to be... he needs to be the most relevant person on the Rift if you're going to be playing things like Jinx and Ezreal. And these games are going long enough to the point where that should be the case. I just really hope against Immortals that this team is able to do something, because starting off 0-3 would just be an absolute just kick straight to the nuts. I really, really, really thought we were going to have a win here against CLG, and maybe it's just that CLG are really strong, right? And 100 Thieves are, I still think, a pretty good team, honestly, overall. I think they're still pretty underrated by most people. And look as great in their second game, but, like, you know, whatever. Like, I just really want to see us do well. We have a better team. Maple is a better mid laner, and he's playing around Spica and helping to get Spica leads. But from the jungle, it's really hard for Spica to hard carry into some of these comps. And they have insurance policies in tactical. I'd almost rather them just go Lucian Nami and let him just int a little bit in the early game, and then the rest of the team has late game or something. I don't know. I mean, his when things are going bad, your insurance policy normally is your AD carry, and right now he is just not. He's just not doing it. So I don't know, man. I know it sounds like I'm just blaming tactical. I'm really not. There are still a lot of problems in the drafts, and I think some of the decision making by this team has been baffling at times. It just feels like they're trying to force things. But the positives are, I think Mia does really well with this team. He knows where to be, and I think he's making a lot of really good decisions. I don't know that he's mechanically going to blow our minds, but I like what I'm seeing from him. I really did think that this team had a better chance to win more games this split with Shen Yi. I'm not as convinced about that anymore, which is good. I think, again, I don't think Mia's going to be as much of a playmaker or gonna show out in terms of his mechanics, but I do think he's going to play around the team better, and I think Maple is too. I think Maple hasn't looked bad in either of the games, and everybody's like, oh, well, his laning isn't where he's good. Like, I don't know, his laning's looked great in both games. He's had leads over both Palafox and Abadage. And, I mean, even on the Gallia, what else is he supposed to do? I mean, he did damage. He CC'd pretty well. He made some really good choices to help Spica get ahead. That dive, I believe, was on Palafox. Yeah, through their jungle and between their towers in the mid lane was great. That flash taunt was awesome. He seems to be communicating well with the team. They're moving around the map better. Like, you can see there are cohesions where this team looks pretty solid, and there's a world where they win both of these games. They just haven't yet. So we'll see. When I come back, it's going to be really interesting to see whether or not I'm just going to be super pissed off that TSM started off 0-3, or a win against Immortals would be just massive for this team this week. So good for the mental, so good for playoff chances, which we actually got to start looking at now. If teams like CLG are actually playing better than they should be, and if teams like Golden Guardians are taking down Cloud9, like, we got to win some games, and we got to win them soon. Starting off 0-3 is not a great way if you want to even have a chance at not just making playoffs, but making it, to a point where you get double elimination. Like, we need to finish top 6. Otherwise, this will easily be the worst year of TSM, LCS, and I just don't want to go down that path yet. God, we're only 2 games in, and I really was hoping that I'd have at least some positive. We do have positives. They've played well in the early games. They didn't get a big enough lead in this game in the mid game, but their late game has just been horrific. And this game is about late game right now. That's the way that the meta is for them. So they're going to have to adapt. Hopefully they will come in refreshed and ready to roll today. No troll picks. Learn what you've seen from all the other teams in the past 2 days. Make your adjustments. Immortals got their first win by basically accident. It's time for us to get ours on purpose. So, yeah, I'll see you guys in the second half here, hopefully shortly. Hello, everybody, and I'm back. Again, I wanted to record 2 different sections of this because, well, I need to. Okay, busy week before I head out of town. But the beautiful thing is that the first 2 games were rough. The third game against CLG went a little differently. We got our first dub number 1 already on the year. So that was slightly unexpected, but very, very nice. I would love to go into it a little bit more, so let's do that. Coming into this game, IMT, they didn't have much practice together, but they had struggled a little bit. But we had, honestly, even though I felt we had looked better, but IMT had a win. So it was like, well, what am I going to do with my power rankings with these guys? But I figured it out. And what we saw in this game is more of what I'd been hoping for the entire year. Well, the entire year. Yeah. I mean, realistically, the entire year. This is, I would argue, one of our best games of the season already, of our 6 wins total. I would like to remind you real quickly as well that we have now tied for as many wins in 3 games as we had in 9 games last split. So, in the first 9 games of last split. So that's very ideal for us, to say the least. But sorry, I'm looking over here to make sure I've got all my stats and everything correct here. But yet again, what I really liked and what I'm really liking about this TSM team is, while I don't think we're going to be a team that's necessarily going to blow anybody away with strategy or extra, I don't know, gusto maybe would be the word. Or I should say creativity. Creativity would be gusto is fine, but and may also be correct. But creativity is the word I was looking for. We will play some things in the meta, and we will, I think, as often as we can, pick things that Spica can carry on. So, Viegos, Xinjiaos, Wukongs specifically. I think those 3 AD options are going to be what really allows for TSM to, I think, find success. And I think they're going to consistently be picking for Spica in the first half of the draft, because I don't think he really cares or worries about being counterpicked. I think he more wants the opportunity to push himself and be, well, just better. And when watching this game, he was really controlling objectives again, and was moving around the map really well with Maple and with Mia. And, setting things up to allow TSM to play, I think, with more of an ease of mind than they had in the past. And the reason I say that is, the dragon stacking, right? The plan to have the Lucian Nami to give a little bit more of a push in the bot lane so that we had the dragon stacking ahead of time. We didn't make, a major blunder at the Rift Herald, and, also Kenvi kind of entered a couple of fights, to be honest, especially one of the last ones, maybe the last one, where he ulted in and had nobody else near him, hoping to, I believe, burn down either Maple or Tactical. But, and in multiple fights, Maple just played the Corki really, really well. I mean, really well. His packages were, I think, mostly on point. He was doing a great job at positioning well in between. Like, there was a time when there was sorry, you guys, who are listening won't be able to see this, but there was a little rounded defensive barrier almost, with Spica in front and Huni in front and the Nami in front, and they were able to kind of fight off everybody else while Maple was just sitting back, just rocket after rocket after rocket. And we finally also got to see Tactical on a champion that he was really comfortable on, and one where he, I think, where it felt like he was more in his element. It's weird because normally, I feel like he's really good at sitting back, and I know that he's known for the Malphite, like going in and stuff, but being able to play back on the Ezreal and the Jinx, I think, is great, and I think he can do that. But with more aggressive picks like Lucian, like Kalista, like Kaisa, things like that, I think that's going to be more his bread and butter on this team, and one where I think they could kind of play around it a little bit more. Again, we had multiple late game insurance policies, and we played around Maple a little bit more along with Spica, and the game just kind of melded together really, really well. I mean, they had full Drake control. They were winning in every lane at one point by at least 9 CS, I believe. And this was, they gave up the Senna pick. I was like, God, man, are they really that confident into the Senna? And then they picked Lucian Nami, and I was like, okay, like, it's going to take Senna a while to scale up. And, this Immortals team had a nice bit of scaling, between the Fiora, the Senna, and the Azir, obviously. But between the Corki and even the Vladimir by the end of it, I don't know that I would have taken their scaling over ours, just solely based on the fact that I think this was mentioned on the broadcast. Azir, the Power of Evil Azir didn't really have anybody to just sit there and kind of chunk out, like a tanky option. And I was I was very worried about us not really having any true tank. Huni, I think playing the Vladimir into the Fiora was an interesting choice, and it seemed to work well into the one-on-one matchup, which is what I honestly cared about most. I know there are some people who are criticizing him a little bit, but I'm going to be honest with you, it's more just because, at least in this game specifically, everybody else played well. And if that's the case, like if Huni going 2-3-6 and winning in lane is the worst that we have per game, then I'm going to be very happy about that, personally. And so I know that may sound, I don't know, maybe dumb, but I don't really care, to be honest with you. I'm very happy with the way that this team played. I think Speak on the Viego is huge, and I'm just waiting for him to pop off even more than he did in this game. Hopefully here pretty soon. So, yeah, I don't know, guys. This was great team fighting. I really like where Mia is going. Like, I had a bit of a different conversation with Germ, and I think, some TSM fans would agree more with Germ, where it's like, well, Mia's not doing exactly what or what they would like for him to do. But when I'm watching him play, like, I just feel like he's more just in sync with the team right now. And I still think that Shinyi has a higher ceiling and maybe a higher floor. Well, yeah, probably a higher ceiling and floor. But right now, I think Mia's playing really well. And I just like where he's been. Like, even like, dropping an ult to stop them, stop the bot lane from backing, right? Like, while sure, it didn't get us the kill that we wanted later on in the, like 2 or 3 minutes later, it was still like nice to see him doing little things like that. And just, it felt like he was always, or not always, often in the right position to help the team and hit some nice bubbles. Like, he's just solid. He's not amazing. He's not going to make, top 3 probably, in support. But is he going to be a guy who I think brings stability to the team, brings stability to the role, and brings stability to the bot lane? Yeah, I think he will. I think Shinyi has a little bit more growing up to do as a player as well. His mechanics are insane, and his game knowledge are definitely great. I feel like they made the right call, and I was one of the first ones to call them out. I just didn't feel like Mia was it, but I have been, and it's maybe it's also because my expectations were so low, honestly, for this team. But I really like what I am seeing right now. I just, I really feel like we should have been 2-1 or 3-0 even this weekend. It was good to see us win a game and close it out. Something that I did not really know if we were going to be able to do, because we'd struggled so much to do it last split. So, yeah, I'm very pleased with how this all went down. Getting that first win, I think, is such a hurdle that we have now climbed over, that this team has a really good opportunity heading into next week, where we play, well, arguably the best team in the league in Team Liquid, and then we play a Golden Guardians team that I think is very beatable. I will go into that more, for Thursday's episode, which I'll be recording at some point probably today. But yeah, guys, listen, like, one of the things that I said, I believe it was on Hot Takes, which you should check out, coming out the day after this show, tomorrow, Tuesdays, is, making playoffs is easy. But this split, it really only feels like one team, Dignitas, are potentially going to take one of those two spots. The battle to not be ninth, which I think we're a lot better than that for sure, but it feels like with CLG leveling up, it feels like with Golden Guardians getting a pretty big win over C9 in their first roundabout without having to play Berserker is going to be pretty big for them. Like, last split, 6 wins got you into 8th place. We are currently a sixth of the way there, right? We got to win essentially 5 of our next 15 games. I would obviously love if we did more than that. I think we are better than that, no doubt. But my goal, my hope is that we can go 9-9, somewhere between 8-10 and 10-8. I think that there is a very realistic world where that happens. I think we need 7 wins to pretty much guarantee ourselves a playoff spot and a pretty, hopefully, decent one. Again, looking into, here, I'm going to bring this up. Looking into years past, I don't know why I'm doing this. I already had it loaded. Where are we at? Here we go. So, looking at last split, right, it was 6 wins for CLG that got them, the 8th spot. They went 6-12. Dignitas at 8-10, and then, 5th and 6th were 9. Well, 4th, 5th, and 6th were all 9-9. 9-9. Jeez, 9-9. So, there's a world where I really, really think if we want to be in a really good spot, we need 8 wins. Because, as you guys know, with the summer, the way things go, it's gonna be tough. Summer last split. Now we played more games, so that's unfortunate. But let me see here. Wow. So 11-16 ended up being the 8th place team, which was Golden Guardians, and that comes out to a 41% win percentage, which comes out to, I want to say that's 7 out of 18. It's about 7 to 8 wins for 8th place. So, if we really, really want to get on it, right, like, in all reality, we can only lose about 8 more games this split to be able to not only make playoffs, but to potentially have a nice playoff spot. So we have 15 games left. We realistically probably want to go somewhere between 6-9 and anything higher. But I think realistically we could go somewhere around 9-6, 8-7, something like that. We'll have to see, though. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be real interesting, fam. Because I'm sorry, I know I'm talking about this way early, but I mean, guys, these are the things we've really got to honestly consider, because this summer season's gonna be, it's gonna be tough. I mean, if CLG aren't a guaranteed bottom team, like, I was really banking on CLG and Dignitas, or CLG and Golden Guardians being down there at the bottom. Right now, I will say, I think if I'll do a really quick power rankings right now, just based off of these games before I hop off here and get ready for my next meeting. I would say Team Liquid, Evil Geniuses, CLG, 100 Thieves. I'd have to rewatch the FlyQuest game, but it'd be between, I would say, us, FlyQuest, Cloud9, just because Berserker's coming back. I might even move Cloud9 up a little bit. And then Immortals. No. Golden Guardians, Immortals, Dignitas. So, we're right in that range. And again, we're talking about like, only needing, 6-7 wins to get into guarantee yourself in the playoffs. Again, if we expected CLG to be one of these bottom tier teams, they are already halfway there with just this weekend. They have 3 dubs already. That means that, seriously, they could go 3-12 for the rest of the split and still potentially make playoffs just because this week was that important. We are really probably going to be kicking ourselves over that 100 Thieves game because I'll be honest with you, I think if we win that game, we are a solid 4th place team with the pushing on to the, pushing up to the top levels. So one of the things I really liked about the game afterwards was actually Spica's interview where he said, hey, I think we should have gotten it a lot sooner. I think we're a lot better team than this. I think, he was talking about how much he likes playing with Maple, like even Double Lift straight up said like he thinks that TSM are definitely a top 5 team and might just miss out on Worlds. I would love for us to surprise everybody. I would love for it to be like TL, EG, and us at Worlds. I just think C9 are going to be really tough, and we're going to have to hope that this 0-3 start really put them behind where they could be. But, there's a world where they go 12-3 the rest of the split. So we will have to see, how things go from there. But I'm very happy with the way things went for our boys. I'm really getting that first win, I think, was just massive. Taking out IMT was huge. And again, every week we're going to have, a little bit easier, game and then a tougher one. That Saturday game is going to be tough against Team Liquid. I do see a world where we could catch them off guard and win it. If we could pull off a 2-0 next week and get to 3-2, that would be huge. More likely, I think it'll be we'll end up being 2-4, but we'll talk about that. Then we head into that next weekend, the July 2nd weekend. Let me check here. Oh, come on, load for me. We play EG, another top team, and then Dignitas. So hopefully can go 1-1 there. Week after that, we would get Cloud9 and FlyQuest. So. We got to win some of these bigger games. We can go 1-1 the rest of the split, essentially, but, that's not, I think, ideal for what we want. So, we will see. Just happy to have. I cannot believe how happy I am that we are 1-2. But you know what? Right now, with everything else that's gone wrong, we will take those. So, all right, with that, if you like this show, please take a second to like, subscribe, and comment if you are watching on our YouTube channel. Hit that bell icon so you don't miss another episode. Remember, we got 4 shows coming at you a week. Talking TSM on Monday, Hot Takes on Tuesday, Hardstuck Gold on Wednesday, and then another Talking TSM on Thursday. I'm also going to be mixing in a nice little interview probably coming out for you guys tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. I want to continue to make this the number 1 TSM podcast about the LCS team, at least. So reviews are very much appreciated. You can find me on Twitter at TGH Robert Haynes. You can also find the Gamehouse at TGH Esports. Give us both a follow. Let me know in the comment section below as well. What is some other content that you guys might like in the future? I would love to know what other areas you think that I could cover, that Gamehouse could cover in some way, shape, or form. So let me know. Lastly, head to thegamehouse.com. You can check out all the awesome content we have, especially a bunch of new Valorant and Call of Duty guys coming in. They're doing an amazing job. Really, really, really proud of how a lot of them have stepped up. So make sure you check that out. With that, thanks for tuning in. This show comes out every Monday and every Thursday, and is exclusively for your TSM ear holes. I'll see you all on Thursday.